Guess what's 20 years old today? That's right, it's the classic series that Epic Games doesn't care about anymore. Unreal was originally released on the 22nd of May of 1998 for PC, published by GT Interactive. It was developed through a joint effort by two established companies, Epic Mega Games, now simply Epic Games, and Digital Extremes. I'm sure you have never heard anything about them, so allow me to embark on a very brief journey into their backgrounds. In 1991, Tim Sweeney started an IT consulting company, Potomac Computer Systems. However, he realized that keeping his business stable would have required too much work and decided to change his plans. Timmy had been programming games since he was 11 years old, but now, at the fine age of 21 and with his own brand, he was able to release his first commercial game, ZZT, which was available as shareware in October of that same year. It was an unexpected success. Early next year, the company was renamed to Epic Mega Games. This was when the name we all know and love/hate truly began. Timmy had been working alone up to this point, but by the time Unreal was on store shelves, Epic had grown to have over 50 staff members. In the meantime, Epic developed and published a variety of games, such as Chill of the Jungle, Jazz Jackrabbit, and Epic Pinball. This last one in particular is relevant to this video's subject. It was single-handedly created by James Schmalz and published by Epic in June of 1993 as shareware. Due to its financial and critical success, James was motivated to start his own company. The name? Digital Extremes. Soon after, Epic and Digital Extremes began cooperating on a brand new project, and in 1994, the development of the Unreal Engine's first iteration had started. Epic continued to publish other games in the meantime, such as Extreme Pinball and Tyrion. These served to fund their project until Unreal's eventual release in 1998. This era was absolute bananas when it comes to graphics hardware. While today we have the choice between two equally frustrating companies, possibly three in the future, god damn it, back then there were other companies such as 3DFX and S3 competing for supremacy. This competition led to a variety of advancements in 3D graphics, and Unreal wasn't going to let itself get beaten. While most shooters were satisfied with their corridors and rooms, Unreal was a bit of a size queen. Some of the outdoor environments are absolutely massive, maybe even a bit too big since there isn't much going on in some of them. Regardless, it was quite an impressive sight in 1998. It also boasted early implementations of some techniques we take for granted today. A notable one is detail texturing, which applies a second texture layer to surfaces that fades in as the player approaches them. In simple terms, when you get closer to things like walls and pillars, you see some extra details instead of a blurry mess. The game starts with the protagonist waking up and that's it really. Straight to the point. Jokes aside, there is some degree of backstory. You play as prisoner 849, convicted for something. You and several other prisoners are being transported aboard the prison ship Vortex Rikers, but things go wrong as the ship passes by a planet called Na Pali, home of the Nawi, a race of complete pussies who have been enslaved by the Scourge, some sort of humanoid lizard things. Na Pali is also rich in Theridium, a valuable mineral that takes the form of blue crystals. Theridium is a powerful source of energy commonly used in the production of weapons and ammo, which is why the Scourge invaded the planet. These deposits of Theridium also cause some sort of magnetic or gravitational disturbance or whatever, which causes the Vortex Rikers to crash into Na Pali. The player awakens after the Scourge assault and murder the ship's crew. You have one very simple objective. Get the heck out of this trash heap of a planet. You quickly pick up a translator device, which will occasionally display messages from terminals, diaries, and other sorts of word-vomiting apparatus. Sometimes it's just fluff, providing background details on the setting, or telling you all about some dead guy's unhappy end, while sometimes it tells you what you're interacting with, like door controls or similar. After escaping the ship, you find yourself in a strange planet. Take a moment to appreciate the surrounding area, the nice music, the vast plains, the hills, the dead guy. See that cliff? You can drop down from it. While the level progression is linear, the levels themselves are fairly open and you can explore every nook and cranny as you please. Who knows, you might even find some goodies. Run around, collect weapons and ammo, activate switches and shoot geodudes in the face. You can also double tap any of the movement keys to perform a dodge move, although to be honest I don't find it particularly useful in single player. You have access to a selection of items that can be used at any time. The translator is one of them, but you also have utility items such as flares, flashlights, which light up dark areas, and invisibility, which makes you super spooky for a bit. The Navi appear as NPCs throughout the game, and being the religious people that they are, they apparently see the player as some sort of prophesized messiah that will save them from the scourge. You can do the exact opposite and kill them all. I mean, they'll probably end up killing themselves anyway. You're incentivized to help them, however, since they sometimes return the favor. To aid you in your collateral damage, you have a fine selection of weapons at your disposal. The dispersion pistol is your backup weapon, capable of firing slow, weak energy shots or charging up for a supposedly stronger shot. It's not very useful and you find a better weapon 10 minutes later, but it does sort of have infinite ammo since it slowly recharges itself over time. It's also unique in that it can be upgraded if you find the power-ups hidden throughout the game, resulting in it changing appearance and firing shots of a different color, I guess. The Automag is an automatic pistol capable of firing steadily but accurately, or fast but inaccurately. It has a decent enough damage output, its primary fire is accurate at medium to long ranges, and there is plenty of ammo lying around, so it's a reliable weapon for a good portion of the game. The Stinger is a minigun sort of thing that fires thoridium shards. The primary fire shoots them in quick succession, while the secondary fire shoots 5 shards at once in a vaguely circular formation. The primary fire serves as the player's shoot things fast weapon throughout a good portion of the game. The secondary fire serves as the player's waste ammo fast weapon throughout the entire game since it's slow, each individual shard deals low damage and you only hit with all of them if you're close to the enemy. The eloquently named Artificial Shocker Magnetic Destroyer, more commonly known as ASMD rifle or Chest Shock rifle, fires energy bolts with pinpoint accuracy, making it highly effective at long ranges. Its secondary fire mode launches energy balls that travel slowly but deal more damage. For extra fun times, you can shoot your balls to trigger a shock combo. This causes a powerful explosion, but of course you need to be real good at playing with your balls to pull out consistently. Next is the 8-ball gun. Now we call it Stick of 6 Fires, which is appropriate given that it can fire 6 sticks of explosive goodness if you want it to. You can load up to 6 rounds and fire them as either rockets or bouncing grenades. The rocket mode can lock onto enemies and can fire in a circular pattern if you hold down the alternate fire button. The almighty flak cannon will demolish whatever living being happens to be in front of it. Its primary fire launches shrapnel that bounces off the environment if it hasn't already eviscerated anything before then. The secondary fire works like a grenade launcher that also launches shrapnel when it explodes. Both modes are similar in that they're equally useful and awesome, and you'll rejoice whenever you pick up ammo for this bad boy. The Racer Check fires razor blades that bounce back when they hit surfaces. The primary fire just shoots it in a straight line, while the alternate mode follows the crosshair. It's also capable of causing headshots, if you can even call it shots. The GES Bio Rifle is a pile of trash. Its primary mode fires blobs of thoridium sludge that deal decent enough damage but can be hard to hit with against fast enemies, such as half of them. The alternate fire mode slowly charges up 5 units of ammo for a super powered shot, and by super powered I mean barely noticeable increase in damage. It's also completely useless underwater, adding to the suckage. It got a much needed speed and damage boost in later games, turning it into a portable nuke in the right hands. The rifle is a rifle. It can zoom in, it instantly hits whatever you're aiming at, and it can cause headshots like the Razor Check. Finally, you have the minigun, which shares ammo with the automag and usually makes it obsolete. It can shoot fast, or it can shoot faster. Now let's talk about the bad parts. Oh, none of them. But seriously, I haven't played the original Unreal in years, and I'm glad to see that it holds up pretty well. I've mentioned the large maps not being properly utilized, but it's never bad enough to be a problem. Some of the levels are fairly complex, but it never makes me want to rub myself with a cheese grater. There are a few quirks or underutilized mechanics. The translator sound plays every time you pass through whatever triggers it, which is vaguely annoying. I also never felt compelled to use half of the items I collected because I never really needed them. The Titans are big, hard things who awkwardly throw rocks at you. They're slow and easy to dodge, or so it seems, but you never know. They ricochet after hitting things, but their behavior seems left entirely up to luck. Usually they're harmless, but on rare occasions they drop you dead in an instant. And that's it for single player. Unreal's multiplayer would be completely overshadowed by its sequel, but hey, it's there. You have your standard deathmatch and team deathmatch, a King of the Hill mode that's nothing like the modes of the same name in other games because Unreal isn't just a size queen but also a special snowflake, and finally there's a fancy original mode called Dark Match. Unreal's King of the Hill mode doesn't involve controlling an area but rather becoming the titular King of the Hill. The first player to score a kill becomes king and deals double damage. If another player kills the king, they take their place and score 5 points. Whoever reaches the score limit first wins the game. Dark Match is like a spooky version of Deathmatch where everything is dark and each player gets a light. It uses its own maps however, so boy oh boy it would be a shame if there was only one of them. Finally, there are the mutators, which is one of the series' coolest features. They are basically modifiers that mutate the gameplay. This would be things like low gravity or regenerating health. Would be if the base game actually had any. 1 year after Unreal's release, an expansion pack developed by Legend Entertainment was released. Return to Na Pali picks up after Unreal's ending and has you return to... well, I'm not gonna spoil what planet it is. Another spaceship, one that's actually intact and functioning properly, takes the player under custody. The fact that the player character is a criminal finally has some relevance as they give you an ultimatum. Either return to, spoiler alert, Na Pali and find another crashed spaceship, or take a trip into space. Without a suit. Return to Spoilers plays pretty much the same as the original game, except just a bit worse. Large chariots, pussies, and a bunch of weapons to shoot overgrown lizards with. You get 3 new weapons to play with. The Combat Assault Rifle fires bullets super fast and can take down your target super fast. This is because it also uses ammo super fast, since each individual bullet deals all the damage of a mouse fart. This also means the secondary fire mode is completely useless. Then you have the grenade launcher, because we don't already have 2 weapons that serve the same purpose. Jokes aside, it's an effective weapon thanks to the alternate fire mode, which launches a manually detonated grenade, as in only one at a time. The rocket launcher launches rockets. Primary mode fires it in a straight line, while the alternate mode allows you to control the rocket's trajectory with the crosshair, similar to the Razor Check. There are a couple of new enemies, such as these brain-dead pricks that just run towards the player. Another addition is that it has some actual cutscenes and the protagonist narrates their thoughts at the end of the level, although to be entirely 100% completely honest, they suck and reek of the direction that Legend Entertainment would take with Unreal 2. The game also adds 4 new modes, 3 of which are just variations of Deathmatch and the other doesn't seem to work in Bot Match. Marine Match supposedly pits you against Space Marines, which show up during the single player and apparently are stronger than regular bots, but I'll never know because somehow this doesn't work in Bot Match and the multiplayer community seems to be actively dead. Cloak Match is like King of the Hill, except instead of double damage, one player gets invisibility. Gravity Match is Deathmatch in low gravity. Yes, this should have just been a mutator like in the later games in the series. Terran weapon match limits the weapon selection to the 3 new weapons, defeating the purpose of Unreal's varied and fun weapon selection. Ultimately, if you enjoy Unreal, there's no reason not to try out the expansion. The new modes don't elevate the multiplayer above its serviceable competency, which is perfectly alright anyway because the original Unreal is about single player, but the extra campaign missions are pretty decent. Unreal was very well received on release, both by the media and the public. It developed an active modding community thanks to its success and the inclusion of Unreal Ed, a tool that allowed fans to create their own maps. However, my anecdotal impression is that Unreal has sort of faded away into the pages of history. Other FPS classics from the 90s, such as Doom, Quake, Duke Nukem and Half-Life, have always been common discussion topics, especially today with the Doom reboot and Quake Champions, whereas Unreal doesn't get talked about as much. Maybe it was inevitable. Unreal Tournament, which is focused entirely on multiplayer action, turned out to be way more popular than Unreal. Which is fine since it's an excellent game, but its success meant that it would become the face of the franchise. Unreal Tournament 2003 was great too, and 2004 was pretty much perfect. Meanwhile, Legend Entertainment made a mistake. Digital Extremes wasn't involved in Unreal Tournament 3, and even after its content patches it couldn't hold a candle to its predecessor, but it wasn't bad. In 2014, there was hope of things getting better, but they didn't. The new Unreal Tournament's development seems to be about as active as my social life, and with Fortnite being the massive hit that it is, I think it's safe to say that it's been aborted and the Unreal name now only lives on as the name of a popular game engine that powered countless games throughout the years. Tim Sweeney remains at Epic, likely more successful than ever thanks to the Unreal Engine. The same can't be said for a certain ex-Epic employee. Digital Extremes is currently raking in the Doge with Warframe, which apparently was quite rocky at launch but is now a very well received game after many updates. I only played it for a dozen hours or so about 2 years ago, and despite it fervently believing that time is money, I loved the movement and combat mechanics, so kudos to them. Like Timmy, James Schmalz remains in his company to this day. Legend Entertainment imploded on itself in 2004 due to a business decision, which likely translates to Unreal 2 was a flop. Kind of a gloomy way to end an anniversary video, but such is life. There's only one thing left we can do, and that is to play Unreal.